Hello everyone and welcome to this session on cloud computing. My name is Joanne Griffin and I'm a chartered accountant currently working with Flogas. Joining me today is Anne Brady, who's a fellow member of the IT Services Committee here in the CAI, and also partner with Anne Brady McQuillans DFK, chartered accountants and auditors. Anne, welcome to the session today. I believe
Thank you, Joanne.
You are one of the most progressive chartered accountants we have out there in terms of you have gone completely to the cloud, taken all your services and outsourced them. Can you fill us in on how you started that journey and how it came about?
Sure. Well, Anne Brady McQuillans DFK is a medium-sized chartered accounting firm located very close to Stephen's Green in Harcourt Road. And about 18 months ago, I actually attended a seminar in the Institute down here in Chartered Accountants House on the whole issue of cloud computing. And I came back to the office and said to William Kingston, our IT manager, look, I think this is where we should be. We were always very keen to be up there at the front in IT issues. So for a period of, I suppose, up to 10 months, we tested and trialled different versions and programs of our software on the cloud. Like any accounting firm, I suppose we probably have 17 or 18 different applications that we use. So over that period of time, we interviewed 3 different suppliers of cloud computing. We ran with Novosco, and we then tested and tried the different packages. We then went live, and I suppose it was probably only 2 or 3 months after going live that the actual snow, which we had recently, was there, and it was a huge advantage to the office because most of the office stayed and worked from home. Those who lived on the Lewis line came in and manned the office.
Okay, and there's no issues with bandwidth. A lot of people would be concerned about what happens if they lose their internet connectivity or if the bandwidth drops.
Sure, yeah. There are a lot of fables, I think, around cloud computing. And bandwidth is one, and security another. And I suppose before we actually went on the cloud, we did improve the bandwidth we had, and we actually got a different package from Aircom. We use Aircom. We've been shopping. We had other people before, and we actually thought of getting a second provider in just in case their line went down or whatever. And we didn't. What we actually resorted to is these little Vodafone 3G that we had. We were using them anyhow when we were dialing in remotely from clients' premises to our server. So we continued to use these. And what's absolutely amazing is that Vodafone actually produce a little hub area that you can, from one of these, 5 computers can work from it. So we could have a team of 4 or 5 people out on an audit, and they can be just working off one 3G.
And they're accessing directly onto your server?
Directly onto our server.
So there's no need to save things to their desktop or a dongle, a USB key?
No, that's actually a very interesting point. Security is a huge issue here. And there's a little bit of a myth, I think, around it. There are 2 things you need to think of when you're talking about security. There's data at rest, which is the data on the server or on a laptop or up in the cloud. And there's also data in transit. Now, data in transit can be handled by encryption, and that you encrypt your data. But data at rest, I think, is the one that's really important as well. And if you think about it, I mean, we've had situations in our office where we've had to ring the insurance company and say that a laptop has been stolen from the boot of a car. There has been client information on that laptop. We have done our best to ensure that there wouldn't be that much. We have always tried to see that it's encrypted. But I can tell you, you can sleep much easier at night now knowing that your data is stored in a data warehouse somewhere. There's total security around it in comparison to having it in the office where anyone could gain access. They can come along and bring a USB key, and they can actually take information off a computer, or one of our staff could lose a USB key. I could lose a USB key with information on it. I don't want to let our clients think that we were careless, and we have tried very, very hard to encrypt things. We've tried very hard to stop people copying things onto USB keys. But the reality is security is an issue, and up on the cloud it's much more secure.
And then the data transfer between yourselves and your cloud provider, that data is fully encrypted and fully secure in a way that probably wasn't before, in terms of they have maybe better spam filters and better encryption.
Absolutely, and it has saved us all the hassle and all the the money costs related to it. No longer do we have to be concerned about putting spam software on, antivirus software on each of our computers. If we get an upgrade to a particular package, all we had to do was get that upgrade put on the server. The cloud, people look after cloud did that for us. We didn't have to worry about getting 30 computers in the office upgraded for that. It's just a once-off thing.
Okay, so when people are logging onto your computer, they have nothing on their desktop. They literally have a gateway into your cloud provider.
All you need is a gateway. All you need is a computer that can give you access to the internet. In fact, we've resurrected some of the old desktops we had around the office, and they can actually be used to gain access. Now, what is important is authentication. There has to be secure passwords, and there are 2 levels of authentication. The first one is a strong password. So, and that it is enforced that the passwords will be changed. For instance, we change our passwords on a monthly basis. You can actually go a bit stronger than that if you want to, and you can have 2-factor authentication, and you can have some sort of a key or a fob or something like a DigiPass, something that we're all familiar with. And there's a bit of mystique around cloud, in fact. A lot of people think that it's something new. No. Many of us have been banking online for years. Many of us have been booking airline tickets for years. That's a form of cloud. That's what it is.
Sure.
So that's exactly what we do. Again, authentication important. And whether if you want to use a DigiPass or something, you can have it.
And if everything is now on your server in the cloud with your provider, does that cover your disaster recovery plan?
Absolutely, because this has been backed up as well. The office could go on fire. Anything could happen. All I need is a computer that can access the internet with the capacity of accessing the internet, and I can get into my information. Also, I can be on the train using this 3G, just working away. I can be abroad in a hotel room, and I can access my information. Totally online with people. I can actually access it through my iPhone if I want to.
You can access your entire network through
the iPhone.
With the same encryption and the same
encryption.
Security. Fascinating. And then in terms of one of the other so-called benefits, or one of the proposed benefits of moving to the cloud, is actually cost savings.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me, in a situation where you had an IT manager before and you still have one now, where those cost savings actually?
Okay. First of all, there's 2 different elements to the cost savings. You rightly ask about the IT manager, and I'll cover off on that first. It's our IT manager, actually, because we're an SME, our IT manager is actually our company secretarial manager as well in the office. He's a chartered secretary. He looks after all the company secretarial work, but he actually had an interest and a qualification in IT. So he is the person in the office who looks after IT. What we have achieved now is, instead of him doing the mundane stuff like going along to people's computers, upgrading the software on it, things like that, he actually deals directly with Novosco, who provide us with our cloud solution, and he is doing much more interesting work than what he was doing before. And I think that would hold true for any IT manager. But the other issue on the financial end is you're moving from CapEx to OpEx. In other words, there isn't capital expenditure. We're in the time of a recession now. No one, above all startups, I'd say, or small SMEs like myself, no one wants to invest in a capital solution when they can actually pay for it on a month-by-month basis. So what actually happens to us now is, instead of paying 20,000 for a server that might last us for 3 years and budgeting to replace it at the end of 3 years, paying the associated costs of the server, now all we do is we pay operating, OpEx expenditure. So what we have is we have a solution whereby we pay per number of staff per month. So if I increase my workforce because I have an extra job on, I take on 5 extra people, yes, my operating expenditure for IT maintenance goes up slightly. If I reduce my staff, as can happen in the recessionary times, I can reduce my expenditure. We're paying on a monthly basis. We actually pay per user per month.
That model very much suits the SME environment, where your overheads in IT would be proportionately higher compared to your headcount as such.
The model is very suitable for the SME environment. It's very suitable for startups if you think of it. All they need is a computer that they bring with them. It can be an iPad, it can be a netbook, it can be a notebook, it can be something small.
Sure.
And that's all they need. And I think what we're going to actually see in this environment now is that people will actually use their own personal hardware. You know, it could be that they own the iPhone themselves, and they'll actually be using that to access the servers as well. and there'll be a savings there as well. But this has saved a lot on money. We don't have to pay for backups now. We don't have to pay for virus software. We don't have to pay for a lot of things. In fact, when you buy a computer, you don't have to buy Microsoft Office anymore. We're all operating from Microsoft Office, cloud version, all on the same version of the software, which is
so it's all a subscription-based, fully cloud, outsourced.
Everything. We don't have a server in our office anymore.
With built-in backup, built-up disaster recovery, built-in security, antivirus.
Most of our computers still have Microsoft Office packages on it because we bought them prior to going on cloud. But you can operate without any, you can just use it.
And it means everybody is on the same version.
Yeah.
Upgrades happen to everybody at the same time, rolled out from the central warehouse.
Saves the IT manager upgrading each individual computer. Don't need to do that anymore.
And what would you say has been the biggest change or the biggest benefit to you in terms of, would it be flexibility, would it be cost, would it be security?
I would say security and peace of mind is a huge benefit. And that to me is a real issue, that you can have security, that your laptop is not going to be stolen with client information on it. I would say also financial. It's been a cost saving to us when you tot up all the different figures. And I know we did an exercise recently, and we've probably saved 20% of the maintenance costs we had before. And I understand we should save more in the future. So I think that has been a great issue. I think as well flexibility for staff, that they can work from home if they need to on something. You know, we had remote access before, and we were dialing into the server through remote access using one of these 3Gs, but the speed at which you can do it on cloud is infinitely greater than the way you were doing it before with remote access.
So it's been a very welcome kind of overhaul for your business in terms of IT.
I think it's the way to go for smaller businesses and I think larger businesses. It's actually one of the top 10 IT issues in 2010, and it was number 1 of the top 10 IT issues in 2010. And yet again, 2011, cloud computing is up there as number 1. So it is a current issue.
And we've recently heard the chief executive of Microsoft saying that there is potential for a lot of investment in this area in terms of Ireland and getting Ireland back up working and back up on its feet. So you would be a huge proponent of
I would be a huge proponent, and I think where we're going to see it is in the educational system and the educational sector. I think that's where we're going to see things now. I'm personally involved at present as a project director for a school, and one of the issues that I've been looking at is the whole IT strategy. And all of the pupils who will come to Rosemont will get a computer the day that they come into the school. So that will be part of the package. They will be able to dial on, they'll dial on to Moodle, and they'll do their own homework. And again, similar to our own situation when the school was closed recently, they were able to do that.
I really appreciate you coming in and spreading the word and sharing your story, and a great success story with us.
What I might say, Joanne, is just, and it may be of interest to some of your listeners, at the end of May in Chartered Accountants Ireland, we're actually going to have a seminar, breakfast briefing one morning towards the end of May on this whole issue of cloud. And I'll be there myself talking from a practitioner's point of view, and there'll be a lot more information there along with a supplier of cloud computing.
Great. I look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you very much, Anne, for your time.
Pleasure, John.